Hey guys, I'm back with another video, and today's video will be an SQL project where we'll be doing this case study. So I found it on this website called the 8-Week SQL Challenge. It was created by a guy called Danny. Yeah, so I'll leave the link in the description for you to check this out. It has other case studies. I think there are 8 of them. So I've already done case study 1 on my channel. It's the one called the customer behavior analysis. I didn't do case study 2 because I felt like pizza sales it's a bit like a common project, so I can do it in the future if you guys want, but for now I'll skip it and do the case study number 3, which is about subscription analytics. So basically we'll be analyzing the customers who've subscribed to a service and look at how their journey is and whatnot. So this is the case study. So we'll be working with a company called Foodie-Fi, and Foodie-Fi is a startup that Danny started with his friends. So when you come to this website, it has all the information. There are so many paragraphs. I won't go over all of them. If you wish to read more in depth and all that, you can just click the link in the description. So in summary, Danny realized that there was a large gap in the market, and he wanted to create a streaming service that's like Netflix, but now this one only has cooking shows. So he found a few friends and they started their startup called Foodie-Fi in 2020, where they were selling monthly and annual subscriptions. And once a customer subscribes, they get unlimited access to exclusive food videos from around the world. So the reason why Danny wants us to do an analysis on the data he has gathered so far is so that for all the investment decisions that he does going forward, he wants them to be backed by data, and also any new features that he decides to add onto Foodie-Fi. So for the data set that we're going to be using, our database will have 2 tables. There's the plans table and the subscriptions table. So the plans table basically just has a breakdown of the plans. We have 5 plans in total. We have the trial plan, which is the free trial like most services have. So that one you don't pay anything. Then you have the basic plan that goes for $9.90. We have the pro monthly that goes for $19.90. We have the pro annual for $99, and we have the churn. That basically, churn is when you cancel a subscription. So your name in the database will be given the plan name called churn, which means you've cancelled and there'll be no more money deducted from you. So once a customer joins Foodie-Fi, they will sign up to an initial 7-day free trial. Once the trial ends and you've not cancelled your subscription, you'll automatically continue the pro monthly subscription plan. So if you don't cancel, or if you don't downgrade to the basic monthly or upgrade to the pro annual, you'll automatically be subscribed to the pro monthly subscription. And then when you cancel your subscription, you will be under the churn plan, which is basically like you've canceled your subscription, so you won't be charged anything after the trial. Yeah, then the next table you have is the subscriptions table. It shows the exact date when a customer's plan starts. So if a customer downgrades from the pro plan or they cancel the subscription, the higher plan is the one that will remain in place until the period is over. So say for example you subscribe to the basic monthly, and then after that you feel like you don't want to renew your subscription. You can, once you cancel your subscription before it ends, you won't automatically be kicked out of the platform. You wait for the entire period of your subscription to end before you lose access to the rest of the videos. And then when you upgrade your account, say you are in a basic plan and you decide to go to a pro plan, the higher plan, or rather the pro plan, will take effect straight away. So it's not like downgrading. When you're upgrading, your new plan takes effect straight away, but when you're downgrading, your plan has to complete its entire period if it was for a month, and then after that, that's when you lose access to the videos. Yeah, so that's basically the summary. Yeah, so for the data, we have been given this query that you need to copy and paste in your SQL database, run them, and then it will create the database for you. So I'll be using SQL Server in this video, but you can use Microsoft, but you can use MySQL, and you can also use PostgreSQL, but I guess you'll have to change up the syntax a bit. So the thing about this query is that for this query that inserts the subscriptions data into the subscriptions table, it's the values, they are more than 1,000. So if you try to copy and paste it as is, you'll get an error saying SQL has a 1,000 like values limit or something. So what I've done to make it easier for you guys, I have broken it down into like 4 sections, and I've taken this whole query, I've put them into some sort of template that you guys can download below. So this is how it looks. So these are the queries. So you'll basically just download this template. It has the queries, and it also has all the questions that you're going to be answering in this video. I've just collapsed them because they are too long. So this is how they are looking. There are so many. So just to have an easier work for you guys, I've done this template for you. You can download it from my website. So you remember earlier on, when I began doing this project, we used to download our datasets from Telegram, but unfortunately Telegram has a limit of pinning only up to 5 charts. So now we have more than 5 projects, and unfortunately we can't use Telegram anymore. So I looked for another platform called Gumroad, and on this platform, it does not allow you to post a product for free. So you have to give it a price. So, and if you don't give it a price, it gives you this section that says name a fair price. So I know probably most of you got confused, and it doesn't mean necessarily you have to put an amount. If you want to check out without putting any amount, just input 0, add to cart, and you'll be able to check out and download your file. But if you'd love to support me and appreciate my content, you can put an amount there, maybe $10, $2, whatever amount you're comfortable with, and I'll really appreciate it. Yeah, that's all. So you can download this template, or rather a dataset, from here. The link will also be in the description below. Yeah, so once you've done that, you've created your database. Once you download, you run all these queries, it will create for you your database. Once you've done that, we can begin on our questions. So the case study has 4 sections. There's section A, that's the customer journey. Section B is the data analysis question. Section C is the challenge payment question. And then section D is outside the box questions. So section A and B is what I'll be covering in today's video. Section C will be separate because I feel it will be a bit long. I don't want the video to be too long. So this will be a separate video that will come just after this video. And then for section D, this is there are open-ended questions which might be asked during a technical interview for this case study. So what that means is that once you've put this as a project in your portfolio and you go for an interview and maybe they ask you questions about this project, these are what you're assuming will be some of the questions that you could be asked on that technical interview. So basically, we've been given these questions to help us think outside the box, like to actually think realistically in like a real world scenario. So for these questions, I'll do this as a separate video as well, but it will only be exclusive for my channel members. So if you've not yet joined my membership, you can do so. It's only $1.49 per month, and you'll be able to get member shoutouts. You'll be able to get early access to new videos like this one, which you're listening to right now. All my members will have access to it at least 3 days before it goes public. And then also, yeah, you'll be able to have access to section D of this particular case study if you're interested in that. Yeah, so now we can get started with the project. So based off the 8 sample customers provided in the sample from the subscriptions table, write a brief description about each customer's onboarding journey. Try to keep it as short as possible. You may also want to run some sort of join to make your explanations a bit easier. So the 8 sample customers they're talking about is this table. that's just under the subscriptions table. So these are the 8 customers. I know these records seem a lot, but if you count the unique customers, they sum up to 8. So this is the first query we'll be writing for this particular sampled customers. Remember, we have 1,000 customers. So yeah, so we are going to be writing a query for this specific 8 customers to try and understand their journey from when they joined Foodie-Fi up to where they are now, whether they are still on a subscription plan or whether they've left. So I'll open up my SQL server, and then once you've run all this, you're going to come now down to the questions. So I'll upload this template. It will have the queries to create your database as well as this question. So if you feel like, you can just write your queries as you follow along within under those questions, or you can do it however you'd like. But this is how I'm going to do it for the purposes of this video. So the first thing we're going to do is, let me just get an overview of the maybe subscriptions table. Select all from subscriptions. Then we're going to run that. And this is the data in the subscriptions table. You have the customer ID, the plan ID, and the start date. And what we've been told to do is that we write a brief description about each customer's onboarding journey. So what you're going to do is, for each of those 8 sampled customers who are on this table, you're going to look at their journeys. So for example, customer ID 1 started with the free trial, which is the plan ID 0. And then their start date was on 1st of August 2020. Of course, it ended on 8th of August 2020. And apparently, they subscribed to plan 1, which I assume is the basic monthly. Yeah, that's the basic monthly plan. So after their trial, they subscribed to the basic monthly plan. Yeah, and it seems they have been on that plan ever since, because I can't see a churn. We're just going to be writing a query that will allow us to, we're going to write a query that will show us the plan name so that we can stop guessing using the plan IDs. Yeah. So to understand each customer's journey, we need to get a few things. We need the customer ID. We need the plan name they are subscribed to or have ever been subscribed to, and also need to know when those particular plans started. So for the customer ID, we are going to get that from the subscriptions table. So we'll do from subscriptions, and then maybe give it a name, like an alias like S or something, and then we need the plan name. So the plan name is in the plans table, which means we're going to be using a join. So for this, I'm going to join the plan table. I'll call it P. And then the common column on both of them is the plan ID. So you have plan ID in the plans table and the plan ID in the subscriptions table. So this is actually plans, not plan. We've established that plan ID is the common column. So s.plan ID is equals to p.plan ID. So once we've determined the tables you're going to be using, now we need to select the columns from each of these 2 tables. So from the subscriptions table, we want the customer ID. We also want the plan name. I'll do s.customer ID, then p.plan name. Then we also need the start date. So the start date is in the subscriptions table. So it will be s.start date. We're going to be selecting this from the subscriptions table and from the plans table. And then remember, we are doing only for the 8 sampled customers. So we're going to be doing a condition where s.customer ID, and then we want to pick for the specific 8 customers. So I'll come back here and these are the specific 8 customers that we want to describe their journeys. So I've written these numbers down somewhere. I'll just type them in here So you're going to be using the in keyword, and the in keyword is basically like or. So instead of writing where the customer ID is equals to 1, or the customer ID is equals to 2, or the customer ID is equals to 3, you're going to be using the in keyword. So once you do the in keyword, you're going to write in your customer IDs. So once you've written a condition, you're going to order these results. So I'm going to order them by, first of all, you're going to be using the customer ID. Then you also order them by the start date. So the reason I'm doing this is that so that you can see I'm assuming customer ID 1 is the first customer who ever joined Foodie-Fi. And then we are also ordering by the start date so that you can see which was the first plan they got in with, and then as they continued with their subscription on Foodie-Fi, which are the other plans they subscribe to in like a chronological order, so that we are able to better describe their journeys since they joined Foodie-Fi. Once you do that, don't forget your semicolon and select this and execute. And this is it. So customer ID 1 got subscribed to Foodie-Fi. They started with the free trial, which is from our case study. From the understanding of our case study, we understand that each customer who joins Foodie-Fi, they have to start with the free trial plan, and then after that, they can choose what to subscribe to. So they started with the trial plan on the 1st of August, then they went to the basic monthly on the 8th of August, and then it seems they have been on the basic monthly ever since, which means they're enjoying their time at Foodie-Fi and all that. Then customer number 2 started with the free trial as well on 20th September, and then after the free trial, which is on 27th September, they subscribed to the Pro Annual. So it seems customer number 2 enjoyed Foodie-Fi so much, they decided to just go with the Pro Annual plan so that they can never miss out on any of those videos. And then customer number 11 started with the trial plan, and then maybe they didn't like it as much, so they canceled their subscription. And so now they are under the churn plan. And then for customer ID 13, they started with the trial plan as well. And then after 7 days, they went to basic monthly. After that, they loved it so much, they decided to go to the Pro monthly. After about how long? From December to March. So that's about after 3 months, they decided they just do the Pro monthly plan. They fell in love with Foodie-Fi. Yeah, and then customer ID number 15 started with the free trial as well, upgraded to Pro monthly after the free trial ended, and then they decided to cancel their subscription for one reason or the other. Yeah, so once you've written this query, you've gotten your output, you can note down the customer journeys, you can explain them elaborately. Yeah, so I'll show you a sample of how I've done that on my end. So from my end, this is how I've documented it, the description of each customer's journey. You can decide to use the same approach, or you can decide to do it differently, because remember, all our projects, we have to document them on GitHub. So you can decide to use a similar format, or you can use a more efficient format, or one that appeals more to you. So this is just how I've decided to document mine. So you can get creative with this query, and instead of calculating manually the start dates from one trial plan to the next, you can add a column here that calculates for you like the difference in days between the first plan to the next plan and whatnot, and it will give you a better overview of the customer's journey. So that's a challenge to you. You can do that on this particular query. Yeah, so you're basically done with that like introduction question. Then the next question is, how many customers has Foodie-Fi ever had? So for this, you're going to be getting the unique customers, all the unique customers that have ever signed up on Foodie-Fi. So remember, when you join Foodie-Fi, you have to start with the free trial plan. So even if you only did the free trial and you cancelled, you are still once a customer at Foodie-Fi. So you're going to get the unique number of customers who have ever subscribed to Foodie-Fi. So you're going to do a select, and this you're going to be selecting from the subscriptions column. I love typing in the table name first before writing the select for the columns, because in SQL Server it autocompletes for me the column names that I select. So there's no need for this alias since we'll be using just one table. So from this subscriptions table, we want to calculate the unique customer IDs. So we're going to select the distinct customer ID, but we want a count of those customer IDs. So I'll give it an alias as total underscore customers. So we are going to use the count function. So we are going to do a select count of the distinct customer ID, then alias of total customers from the subscriptions table. So once you select this and run, we have a total of 1,000 customers. So Foodie-Fi in oil, since it began, it has had a total of 1,000 customers signing up for their service. Yeah, so that is just as simple as that. So question number 2 asks, what is the monthly distribution of trial plan start date values for our data set? Use the start of the month as the group by value. So for this, we need to find the monthly distribution of the trial plan. And remember, the trial plan has a plan ID of 0. We need to find its start date. So we can group the data first by the first day of each month. And then we're going to count how many trial plans started in each month. So of course, this information are going to be getting it from the subscriptions table. So I'll just type in from subscriptions. And then we are only dealing with the free trial plan. So we're going to put a condition where the plan underscore ID is equals to 0. So now once we have that, we've already selected our table. We filtered for exactly what we are looking for. Now you can write the select statement to select the relevant columns. So in our select statement, we're going to use like a few functions. So we are going to use a function that will calculate the number of months between the start date and a base date. So in SQL, our base date is usually 0, or rather 1st January of 1900. So we are going to calculate the difference between the start date and the base date as it's by default in SQL Server. So we're going for this, we're going to be using the dateDiff function. So for this function, dateDiff function, and then it takes the month. So you need to calculate the number of months. So I'm going to specify that I want the month. And then this will be the difference between the base date in SQL, which is usually 0, or rather 1st January of 1900, and the start date of the particular trial plan. And then once we've done that, so now this dateDiff is going to give us the difference between the start date and the base date in SQL. That will give us the number of months between those two dates. And then after that, you're going to be using another function called the dateAdd function. So the dateAdd function is going to use the result of the dateDiff function to add the appropriate number of months to the base date in SQL, giving the start of the month for each start date. So we're going to do dateAdd. And then we're going to add the months that have been calculated within this dateDiff function. We're going to add it to the base date in SQL, which is basically 1st January of 1900. So by adding this, you're going to get the start of the month for each start date. So basically, if a trial started in maybe 12th December, we want to get the start of the month for the month of December. So once we run this query, it will give us 1st of December 2020. So we are going to give this an alias of month start. Then once we do that, you're going to count all the rows that are going to be displayed, because we want the specific number, or rather, the specific number for each month. So for the month of January, we need to know how many free trials were started in January. We need to know how many were started in February, March, all the way to December. So we are going to count all the rows that will be displayed as, we're going to give them the alias as trial starts. So before we run this query, I'm just going to comment it out so that you can see the output of this particular query. So once we run that, you can see the month start. There is 1st of August, 1st of September, 1st January, this is again 1st January, 1st September, and all that. So all the free trials that started, we could have had maybe 10 trials in January and all of them started at a different date. But for this date add function that we wrote, we want to find the first day of the month for that particular month. So as much as you had 10 signups in January, this particular select statement we've written is just to give us the first of that month for each free trial. So that's why you can see the repeating values, because it will be January, there are 10 customers who signed up for the free trial. So you'll see 1st of January 2020, it will appear 10 times. I hope you're getting me. So now, rather than have this display all of them like this, we now want to count how many free trials started. So don't forget to add your comma here, as well as your semicolon. It's just a good practice. Then you select and run your query. Oh yeah, I forgot that I'm supposed to group. Since I've used an aggregate function, I'm supposed to group, and the aggregate function is the count. So I need to write a group by statement for this particular section. So we'll come down here and do a group by. Well, I'm sure most of you are wondering why I just pasted the whole calculation instead of just pasting the alias. And the reason for that is because you cannot use an alias in the group by statement in SQL. And that's because the group by clause is executed before the select clause in SQL. So some of you may be familiar with the query execution order in SQL and some of you may not, but I'll just give you a brief breakdown. So the execution order of SQL is as follows. So it starts with the from. If your query has a from and join statement, those will be executed first. So basically it's like it locates the tables that you want to query from, and then after that it will execute the where clause, which is apply the filter on that table. Once it has done that, it will execute the group by clause. Having clause, if you have one, then it will execute the select clause, the order by clause, and then the limit or offset clauses if you have them in your query. So since the group by clause is processed before the SQL statement, the alias that has been defined in the select part is not yet recognized when the group by is executed. So if you need to use an alias within the group by statement, you can always create a subquery. So I know this may sound a bit complex for some of you, but if you'd love to master more all these like SQL concepts, you can always check out DataCamp. I have linked the specific SQL course that will help you understand these concepts. Yeah, you can check it out in the description below. So once we've written our group by statement, you now need to order our query. So we are going to order it by the month start. Yeah, so now when we run this query, it should give us the correct output. Yeah, so you can see in January, The month start is 1st of January, so this represents all the trials that started in January, not necessarily the 1st of January. So in January, we had 88 people who signed up to Foodie-Fi. In February, we had 68. In March, we had 94. In April, we had 81, and so on, all the way to December. So we'll go to question number 3. So question number 3 says, what planned start date values occur after the year 2020 for our dataset? Show the breakdown by count of events for each plan name. So to find out which plan name start dates occur after the year 2020, and for you to provide a breakdown by the count, we can filter the start date values greater than 31st of December of 2020, and then we group the results by the plan name, because we're just being asked to see how many customers, or rather, which plans people subscribe to after the year 2020. So that's basically what the question is asking. So we're going to need our 2 tables, both the subscriptions and the plans table. So we're going to write our from statement first. From subscriptions, since you're using both tables, you're going to give it an alias. You're going to join plans P on, the common column is the plan ID, is equals to P dot plan underscore ID. From the subscriptions table and the plans table, we're going to be selecting the plan name, because it's easier to work with the plan name rather than the plan ID, because you have to keep remembering. So P dot plan name, and then we need now to count the number of plans that started after the year 2020. So we are going to be writing a count. Then we're going to call it count underscore events, as count events or count of events. And then we write our where clause. So it's where the start date is greater than. So the date format for SQL is usually the year, month, and then the day. So it will be 2020-12 December-31. And then we've used an aggregate function. So of course you have to use a group by statement on the plan name. Then we're going to order by the count of events. So remember, with the group by you cannot use an alias, but with order by you can, because of the query execution order. So we're going to do descending. Select and run that. Then you can see for the churn, the people who cancel their subscriptions in the year, maybe 2021, there were 71. Those who cancelled those who subscribed to the pro annual were 63, pro monthly were 60, and basic monthly were 8. So I hope you've understood this particular section. So we'll go to number 4. What is the customer count and percentage of customers who have churned, rounded to 1 decimal place? So we'll filter for the first thing we'll do is filter for customers with the churn plan, which is the plan ID 4, and then calculate the total number of customers, and then we're going to compute the percentage. So this is where we begin now going into a bit more advanced SQL concept. So For this, we are going to be using what is called a CTE, or rather a common table expression. So I'm going to use about 2 of those. So the first one will help us get the total number of customers. Then the other one will help us find the churned customers. So once we have those two, we can use it to calculate the percentage of customers who have churned out, or rather who have cancelled their subscription. Then we'll round it into 1 decimal place. So we write our first CTE, which is the one that calculates for us the total customers. So for CTEs, the syntax is with. You're going to use the with keyword. So my CTE is going to be called total customers. So it will be total customers as. Then you're going to get the unique number of customers. So obviously the total customers is the unique number of customers that are in our database. So we had written that query earlier before, but we'll just write it down again. So we'll do select account of distinct customer ID as, this will be the total underscore customers from subscriptions. So this will give us the total number of customers. Once we have that, now we need to calculate, or rather get, the total number of customers who have cancelled the subscriptions, or rather those who have churned out. So our next CTE will be called churned customers. All this you can give them any names you want, but I like to make mine as descriptive as possible. So to get the number of customers who have churned, it's basically you're just going to get the total number of customers, but then you're going to filter for those who have the plan ID of 4. So rather than writing it again, I'll just copy and paste this query. And then add a condition where the plan ID is equals to 4. So that's it. When we run this query, you are going to get the customers who have cancelled their subscriptions. So if you want to know whether your queries are running correctly, you can run this separately. You can run this query. You'll get total customers is 1,000. So we've copied this query, but this should be, rather than total customers, this is going to be churned customers. So if I select and run this on its own, it should run without an error. So our churned customers are 307. So now that we have our total customers and our churned customers, to calculate the percentage of those who churned, it will just be the churned customers over the total customers times 100. Then you'll get the percentage, then you'll round it off to 1 decimal place. We're going to write our select, and then you're going to select the churned customers. So you're going to select from, remember you're calculating the percentage from both the churned customers and the total customers. So our from statement will contain churned customers. You can give it an alias C, and also the total customers, which will give it an alias T or something. Yeah, so you're going to be selecting from both of these tables. So from the churned customers, you're going to be selecting churned customers as the churned count. And then below it, you're going to be now calculating the percentage. So to calculate the percentage, you're going to be using a few functions. So remember, to calculate the percentage, you just get the churned customers divided by the total customers. You multiply that by 100, then you round off to 1 decimal place. So the first thing you're going to do, to get a decimal, of course, the number has to be in a float. And we've run this query for churned customers, and we found that it is in a whole number. So we are going to be using the cast function to convert the number of churned customers into a float. So we are going to be using the cast function. So this basically just changes the data type from whole number to, we're going to use it to change the data type from a whole number to a float number. So as a float, then we close that bracket. Once you've converted it into float, you want to divide it by total number of customers. Once you've divided, the value that you get, you want to multiply it by 100. So you want to multiply this by 100, and then you're going to wrap it around the round function, and then we'll round it off to 1 decimal place. Have a bunch of errors here, so I think you're missing one bracket over here, and then yes, we're missing one bracket there. So we'll write our semicolon here. And then if your queries get this long as mine have gotten, you can always click on this minus sign, and then it will collapse them, and you can just run it as one line. So once you run that, this is the output you get. So you can just go back and give an alias to our round function. So I'll call this churned percentage. Yeah, so you can collapse it once again. And then once we run it, our churned count was 307 customers churned out, and then the percentage is 30.7%. So that was it for this particular section. So I hope you've understood. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section down below. You can also DM me on Instagram, and I'll reply as soon as I can. Yeah, so if you're pretty new to the concept of window functions and all that, I'd recommend taking the SQL course I've linked in the description. It's a specific course that I use that's on DataCamp that is going to help you master these concepts. Yeah, so now we'll go to the next question, which is question 5. How many customers have churned straight after the initial free trial? What percentage is this rounded to the nearest whole number? So we need to identify customers who transition directly from the trial plan ID 0, which is the free trial plan, to the churn plan, which is the plan ID 4. And then we'll calculate the percentage of these customers against the total number of customers. So with this question, once again, we're going to be using a common table expression, or rather a CTE. So our first CTE will be the one where we get the total number of customers. And we've already written that down before. So rather than writing it again, I'm just going to copy and paste. Yeah, so we have our total number of customers. After getting our total number of customers, we need to find now to write another CTE that gets us the number of customers who churned out immediately after their free trial. So my CTE will be called, I'll call it churned after trial. Remember to keep all your CTEs very descriptive so that someone can, at a glance, they can know what the CTE is about. So remember, for this, we are comparing a customer from the same exact table. So we're going to be using the subscriptions table, and that is where all the customer subscription data is kept. So from customer ID 1, their subscription, they started with the free trial as with every other customer. It started on this particular date. Then after the trial, they cancelled. So the date they cancelled is also under the start date within the same table. So for this, you're going to be using what is called a self-join. So you just join the table with itself. So what you're going to do is you're going to count the number of unique customers who churned or rather canceled their subscription after their free trial. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're actually going to write our from statement. So our from statement will be from our subscriptions table. I'll call this S1. Since we are joining the table with itself, then I'm going to join subscriptions S2. Then what we're going to join them on will be the customer ID. So this will be S1.customer ID is equal to S2.customer ID. After selecting the table we're going to be using, we'll write our condition. So we want a customer who started with the free trial, so their first trial ID is, so S1.plan_ID is equals to 0, which is the free trial plan, where the plan ID is equals to 0, and their next trial plan, which is S2, which is technically from the S2 table, is equals to 4. And then since we want the cancellation or the churning to be after the initial trial plan, you need to check that the start date for the trial plan was before the start date for the churning plan. So we're going to use where S1.start_date is less than, which means it started before they cancel the subscription. So it will be S2.startDate. Yeah, so that will be it. So after we've written our condition, now we can select and count how many customers this were. So we need to select, I'm going to do a count of all the customers. So we need the unique customers, as you're going to call it churned after _trial. So we'll count the unique numbers of customers who churned immediately after their trial. So once you've written that, let me actually just run this on its own and see if it works. If it does, we're good. Yeah, so those who churned after trial were 307. So the question requires us to get the percentage of this rounded to the nearest whole number. So just as we've done in the previous question, we're going to use the same, but instead of rounding it off to one decimal place, we're going to round it off to the nearest whole number. So rather than typing it out again, I'll just select this entire statement, copy, then down here make sure you close the brackets, then you paste. Then here within this round section, rather than it being 1, we're going to leave it as blank so that it can round off to the nearest whole number. I'm getting an error here. Oh, so this will be c.churned after trial, and then the table names are the ones that have an issue. So the table will be churned after trial, customers is okay. I need to change this as well, churned after underscore trial, and this as well, churned underscore after underscore trial. Also, we need to round this to 0 decimal places. Yes, so now we have only one error left. Oh, found it. So it's churned, not churn. Then will also be churned. Yes, so once again, this is also a long query. So we can just collapse it and run as one, and we should get 31%. Yeah, so that was as simple as that. That was question number 5. So for question number 6 is, what is the number in percentage of customer plans after their initial free trial? So we need to identify the first plan a customer subscribed to after completing the trial plan, and then calculate the number in percentage for each plan. So for this, again, we're going to be using a CTE, and in this CTE, we are going to first get the first plan that each customer subscribed to after the free trial. So for this, we are once again going to be using a self join. So we'll join the table on itself. So we are going to, let's first write the from statement from subscriptions S1, join subscriptions S2 on s.customer. Rather than typing this all out, you can just copy and paste. But since I've already started, so this will be S2, this will be S1, S2 dot customer underscore ID, and then where the plan underscore ID is equals to, so this is S1 dot plan ID equal to 0, and we need to check the start date to make sure that the new plan starts after the trial plan. So the S2 dot start underscore date is greater than the S1 dot start underscore date. Yeah, so once we've written our conditions, we've specified the tables that we want. Now we can write our select statement. So we want the customer ID. So this will be S1. So select the customer ID, and then we want the first plan after the trial. So the first plan after the trial will be in the S2 table. So the S2 table, we want to get the minimum. So we're going to be using the minimum function. This will allow us to capture the earliest plan after the trial. It will be S2.plan underscore ID. Yeah, and that's it. And now that we've used an aggregate function, we're going to do group by S1.customer ID. Put a semicolon, select and run. So for this no column name, you're going to give it an alias. So this minimum, you're going to give it the alias post underscore trial underscore plan. So this is the post trial plan. So if you run this again, yeah, the post trial plan ID is, this is actually supposed to be plan underscore ID, so that you don't get confused. Yeah, so their post-trial plan, after their first trial, they subscribe to the basic monthly. This was pro-annual, basic monthly, and all that. So you can see, so you can even see here, customer number 11, after the initial free trial, they canceled their subscription, which is why you see there, post-trial, their plan ID changed to 4. Yeah, so this was the query to help us find the first plan they subscribe to after their initial trial plan. So this will be a CTE. So I'm going to call it, we're going to use the with keyword. So this will be first post-trial plan. With first post-trial plan as that, remove this semicolon. So once again, we get the total number of customers, I mean. So I'll just select this, copy the query we'd written earlier for total customers and paste it down here. That will be the total customers subquery. And then don't forget to close that bracket. Once we've done that, we can now write our main select statement. So we're going to select the count and the percentage of each plan after the trial. So for this, we're going to be selecting from the first post-trial plan table. So let me drag this down a bit so that you can see the query a bit better. So we are going to select the customer ID from this first subquery, and then you're going to select also the plan name from the plans table, and then you're also going to join in the total customers table. So as usual, let's start with the tables you're going to select from. So this is the first post-trial plan. So I'll give it an alias of FPT, or you can give it whichever alias you want. After selecting that, you're going to join the plans table so that you can get the specific plan name. Give it the alias P on, and the common column for both of them is the plan ID. So this will be FPT dot the post trial plan ID, post underscore trial. Remember this column, the post trial plan ID is what we defined up here. So that is what will be selected from there. And then is equals to P dot plan underscore ID. And then we are also going to join in the total customers subquery. This subquery right here, but for this we're going to be using a cross join. And the reason we're using a cross join is because it will allow the total customers count to be accessed without needing a matching condition. So each row of the first post-trial plan will have the same total customer count. So if you want to understand more about cross joins and all, just click on the course that I've linked from DataCamp in the description. Once you do that course, you'll be able to understand all these concepts fully. So we're going to do a cross join of total customers. I'm going to give it the alias T. So once we've selected our tables, now we can write our select statement. So the first thing is selecting the plan name, p.plan name. And then the next column we're going to be selecting is the count of the customers for each post-trial plan. So we are going to do a count, and the count will be of the count of customers for each plan after their initial free trial. So it will be from this table, which is fpt dot customer ID. And we're going to alias this as plan underscore count, and then we're going to also round it off to, they've not really specified, so you can do 0 decimal place or 1 decimal place, however you want. So for this, once again, we're going to be using the cast function to convert it into a float. So you're going to get the count of the want this to be converted into a float. And then once you do that, you want to divide it by the total customers. So it will be t dot total customers. And then once you've done that, the value that you get here, we want to multiply it by 100. And then we now need to round it off. So we are going to be using the round function. So we round this. I'll do 1 decimal place because I feel it's a bit more accurate. Yeah, and now that we've used a bit of aggregate functions, we are not going to forget our group by clause. So we are going to group by the ones where an aggregate function has not been used. So we'll start with the p.plan name. And then next we'll do the total customers. It's t dot total customers. And then after that, we're going to order our results by the plan count in descending order. So we want the plan that has the highest number first as you go downwards. So once again, you can collapse this query so that you can run it easily. So if I pull this up, for the basic monthly, we had 546. I keep forgetting to put the alias for the percentage. So let's just add that real quick. So I'll alias this as plan underscore percentage. So once again, you collapse this. Then you run it. So basic monthly, the plan count is 546. So the plan percentage seems similar to the plan count just because we have 1,000 customers. So yeah, you'll understand. So basic monthly has 546. Plan percentage is 54.6%. Pro monthly has 325. Those who cancelled or churned out were 92. The pro annual was 37. So with this, you get insight into the first plan that customers subscribe to after the initial free trial. So from this, you can get a feel of how many customers did not like the platform. So that will be those who are in the churn. 92 of them cancelled after the free trial. They felt maybe it was not worth it. And then after that, the majority felt it was worth it, so they subscribed to the basic monthly and the pro monthly plan, and very few subscribed to the pro annual plan, maybe because they probably didn't have all that cash at hand. Yeah, so that was question number 6. Question number 7 is, what is the customer count and percentage breakdown of all 5 plan name values at 31st December 2020. So at the end of the year, what are the total number of customers that are in each plan? So once again, we're going to be writing another common table expression, or rather CTE, and this CTE is going to be called plan counts. I love writing them in title case. So with plan counts as, so you're going to be using the subscriptions table. So I'll just do from subscriptions. From the subscriptions table, you're going to select the plan ID. Then you're also going to count the total number of customers. So this will have the alias of customer underscore count. So for each plan ID, this will give us the total number of customers for each particular plan. And then where the start underscore date is less than or equal to that is 31st December of 2020. So remember, the date format for SQL is year, month, and day, and you have to put it in quotes. So December 31. So less than or equal to is inclusive of this particular date. And then after that, we now need to, sorry, this S doesn't need to be there because we didn't give our table an alias. After that, we need to use a group by, since we used an aggregate function, so group by plan ID. So if I just run this on its own, you can see how many customers were in each plan. So plan ID 0, which is the free trial, there are 1,000 customers because every customer has to start with a free trial. Then 3, there have been 195. So I just had a thought. From this question, what is the customer count and percentage breakdown of all 5 plan name values at 31st December 2020? So does this mean you get the total number of customers for each plan as at 31st December, or are you getting the total number of customers who have ever subscribed? So once you've gotten that, that is our first subquery. So I'm going to close it with a bracket, then put a comma. Then we'll go to our next subquery, which will be the total number of customers. So we've written this query so many times. So total customers as, I'll just copy and paste it. It's this one right here. So I'll just click Control C, Control V, and that's it. But this time we're going to be adding a condition. So you want their start date to be less than or equal to 31st December 2020. So once again, 2020-12-31. So once again, we're going to close this. You can indent this if you'd like. So once you've written this, you can now write our final select statement to join with the plans and calculate the percentages. So we are going to be using the plans table and these other 2 tables, sort of tables that we've created, the plan counts and the total customers. So we're going to select some columns from our plans table. You give it an alias P, and then you're going to do a left join of this plan counts sort of table or CTE that we wrote. And the reason for that is to get the customer counts for each plan. So you're going to be using a left join. So a left join, you're going to get all the plan IDs from there. You're going to get the records from all the records from the plans table, but only join the matching records from the plan counts CTE sort of. So I'll call this PC on. From our plan counts table, the common is the plan ID, so it will be p.plan ID is equals to pc.plan ID. Then once again, you're going to be doing a cross join. Remember, a cross join, you don't necessarily need a condition for it. So you're going to do a cross join of total customers, and we'll call this maybe TC or something. Yeah, so now that we've specified our tables and all, the cross join is to allow us to get the total customers so that we can be able to calculate the percentage. So once you've selected all this, now we're going to do our select statement. So I'll do the plan name from the plans table. So after selecting the plan name, the next thing we're going to do is select the customer count. So the customer count is going to come from the plan counts table. and the plan counts table is pc dot customer count, and you're going to write an error, or rather we're going to write a function that is going to check for us if there are 0 customers in a particular plan, we want it to return 0. So we're going to use a function called is null. So if there are no particular customers for a certain plan, we want it to be automatically filled with 0 instead of having it as null. So we'll alias that as customer count. And then for our last column, that will be the, not really column, but our column that has the percentage values. So once again, we're going to be rounding off. So we are going to first convert it into a float number. So to convert it, we'll just pick this as is, this particular column as is, together with the function. So we want to convert this into a float data type. Once we've done that, we want to divide it by the total number of customers, and then the value that we get after dividing this is what we want to multiply by 100. And then you're going to round it off to 1 decimal place. So we'll do round, specify the number of decimal places, which is 1. Then I'm going to call this as plan percentage. Yeah, so I think our query should be fine. So once we've done that, we're just going to do an order by the plan ID. You semicolon, you'll scroll up, you select, you run this. So trial plan, customer count is 1,000, percentage is 100%, which is accurate, basic monthly 538, 53.8, and so on. Yeah, so that's how you get the answer to question number 7. So question number 8 is, how many customers have upgraded to an annual plan in 2020? So this should be quite easy. So the annual plan is the plan ID number 3. Yes, because it's annual, then churn is 4. So that's number 3. So we're going to again write another CTE to find customers who upgraded to the annual plan in 2020. So we're going to be selecting these values, or rather these columns, from the subscriptions table. So I'll do from subscriptions. From subscriptions S, you're going to be selecting s.customer ID, and then you're going to be getting the initial, or rather the earliest start date. That's why we're going to be using the annual plan. So it could be, so the reason we're using minimum is because we are assuming maybe there's a customer who started from the free trial as with all other customers, then maybe they went to the basic monthly. After the basic monthly, they loved it so much, they went to the pro annual. Then after the pro annual, maybe they got broke or something, they went back to the basic monthly. Then after they got money again, they subscribed to the pro annual. Like, I hope you're getting the logic, or rather the reasoning behind using the minimum function, because a customer may have subscribed multiple times. They may have subscribed to the annual plan before, but then downgraded and subscribed to maybe a basic or a pro monthly plan, then later on decided to go back to the pro annual plan. So we are trying to get the earliest date, like the first time when they subscribe to the pro annual plan. Yeah, so that's why we're using the minimum function. So I'll give it the alias upgrade underscore date from subscriptions S, and then we want the plan ID is equal to 3, that is the pro annual, and we want it to be for the year the upgrade was done in the year 2020. So we're going to be using the year function with the start date. So this will just extract for us the year alone from the start date, and we want that year to be 2020 because maybe someone upgraded in the year 2021 or whichever other year. Yeah, and now since we've used this aggregate function here, we need to write a group by statement. So group by s.customer ID. So this will be our first CTE. I'll give it a name shortly, but let's first run it and see that it executes correctly. So with that, you're going to be calling it with, I'll call it annual plan upgrade as this. So this space shouldn't be there. This is an H. So with our CTE as this, once we are done with this, we can now write our main select statement. And in this select statement is now when you're going to count the distinct customers who upgraded to the annual plan. So we're going to do a select count of distinct customer underscore ID. We're going to give it the alias of customer count. It's called from annual plan upgrade. So once we have this, you just select and execute. We have 195 customers who are upgraded to the annual plan in 2020. That's it for question number 8. For question number 9, it's how many days on average does it take for a customer to upgrade to an annual plan from the day they join Foodie-Fi? So this means we are calculating the number of days that a customer upgrades to a pro annual plan from their free trial. So that sounds very easy. So you can go about these, I think, 2 ways. You can use the trial plan from the free trial plan, because from what we understood earlier, each customer has to go through the free trial plan. So basically that is the day when they joined Foodie-Fi. Or you can take the approach of using the minimum function, just so you can be sure that this minimum date is the day when they started their free trial. Yeah, so I think I'll go the route of the minimum function, and then if you want, you can use the route of the trial plan. Yeah, so I'm going to write once again another common table expression. So I'm going to call it with customer upgrades as, then you're going to do a select. You're going to select some columns, but you first have to determine from which table. So in this, you're going to be using the subscriptions table. I'll give it an alias just because. So we're going to be selecting the customer ID, and then we want the earliest start date. So we're going to be using the minimum function. So it will be s.start underscore date, and this will be labeled as the join date for each customer. And then we're also going to be doing the minimum. We also need to find the earliest annual upgrade date. So we're going to be using a case when statement. So when the plan ID So in the plan ID equals to 3, which is the pro annual plan, then we want to get the start underscore date. That's it, and this start date will be called the annual underscore upgrade underscore date. This will be selected from the subscriptions table. Then we're going to do a group by for the column which we didn't aggregate, which is the customer ID. So if we run this, it will give us an output. So where you see null in the annual upgrade date, it means the customers have never upgraded to the pro annual plan. So this is exactly what we needed. And then now you're going to write the final select statement to calculate the average days to upgrade. So now that we have our CTE, we're going to close it. And then now we're going to write our main select statement. We're going to be calculating, they want us to calculate how many days on average. So we're going to be using the average function, and we'll also use the dateDiff function to get the difference in days. So we want the difference in terms of days, so we're going to do day, and then want the difference between the join date, and this join date is the one which we defined here in the customer upgrades table, and the annual upgrade date, which also defined down here. So before we continue writing that, let's just define our table name. So you're going to be selecting from customer upgrades. Probably give it an alias of CU. So this will be, we come back to our select statement, it will be CU dot join underscore date, because we want the difference between the join date and the annual upgrade date. So annual underscore upgrade underscore date. Then we're going to alias it as average underscore days underscore to underscore annual, or something of the sort. Or this should be an underscore. Then we write our condition where the annual upgrade date is not null. Is not null, because remember, we're calculating the average days from when they joined to when they upgraded to annual date. So there's no need of including the ones where the customers never upgraded. So we're going to write where the annual upgrade date is not null. So I'll collapse this once again, select it, then execute. So on average, it takes around 3 months, that is 104 days, for customers to upgrade to the pro annual plan after joining. So we are coming to an end. So number 10, can you further break down this average value into 30-day periods? So you can modify the previous query to group the results into this interval. So basically you need to group them into how many customers took between 0 to 30 days, 31 to 60 days, 61 to maybe 90 days, and 90 plus days, because the average is 104. So we'll do a category for 90 plus days. So once again, we're going to be using this subquery. So I'll just copy and paste it as is. And then after that, Now we're going to write a select statement that has the different categories of 0 to 30, 31 to 60, and so on. So we're going to be selecting this from customer upgrades table, which has an alias of CU, and then we want to include only those where the annual upgrade date is not null. So we're including only customers who actually upgraded to an annual plan. So we go back to our select statement. So we're going to be using a case when. So case when is basically writing a condition. If it's true, it will be categorized in the right. If it's not, and so on. So this is going to be a long one. So once again, state diff, calculate the number of days between the cu dot join underscore date and cu dot annual upgrade date. I don't know why it's not picking. So if the difference between these days is less than or equal to 30, then it will be in the category 0 to 30 days. And then rather than typing this out again, I'll just copy and paste it twice. So this will be 31 to 90 days, 31 to 60 days, I mean. And then this will be 60 to 90 days. Then we'll have an else statement where if it doesn't fall between any of those, it will be 91 plus days. Then not forgetting our end statement, so we'll give it an alias as upgrade underscore period. And then now we need to count how many customers were in each of these periods. So just do a count all as customer underscore count. Yeah, so we want to select all these, count them from the customer upgrades table, filter for customers who upgraded to an annual plan. And then now we need to do a group by, since we did a aggregate function with this count, customer count. So this needs to be a group by statement. And remember, I explained earlier on that you cannot use an alias with the group by statement because of the order of execution of SQL. So we'll just select this entire case when statement up until the end section, and then we'll write group by. Then I'll just paste it in. Then we're going to do an order by upgrade period. So this is quite long. We're going to collapse it once again, then run it. So we only have 0 to 30 days where they have 49 customers, and then the majority of customers upgraded after 3 months. So we have 209 customers. Yeah, so that is it for this question. Now to our final question for this video is how many customers downgraded from a pro monthly to a basic monthly plan in 2020. So remember, once you join Foodie-Fi, you immediately start with the free trial. After the free trial, if you do not cancel or downgrade your plan, it automatically goes to the pro monthly plan. And remember, before the pro monthly plan, there's the cheaper plan of the basic monthly plan. So it wants to check how many customers downgraded from pro monthly to basic monthly plan in 2020. So that sounds quite easy. So we'll want to identify customers who have had both subscriptions and also verify that the transition occurred within the same year. So once again, we're going to write a subquery, and this subquery is going to be called downgrades, with downgrades as. So we are going to select some values from subscriptions. Let's just give it an alias, and then s.customer ID, which is the customer ID, and then we want to get the date they were on the pro monthly plan in 2020. So for this one, we're going to be using the max function. So we'll write a condition. So when the plan ID is equals to plan ID number 2. So number 2 is the pro monthly, and if we filter out specifically the year from the start date, if they did that in the year 2020, then we want to get that start date. So if they upgraded to the pro plan maybe in 2021, they won't be considered here. Then we're going to give it an alias of pro_monthly dates. And then we'll do the same for those who have the basic monthly date. So let's just copy and paste this here. So you change the plan ID to 1, and then change the pro here to basic. So we are going to write a condition where, of course, the year s.start_date is equals to 2020. Then of course we are going to be grouping by s.customer ID. So they started their pro monthly on 6th of July, and then their basic monthly was, so basically the pro monthly came after, but we want those where it came the pro monthly first, then the basic monthly next. So I guess we need to write an extra condition here that checks for us the start date. Yeah, so we're going to close this, and then in our main select statement, that is where we're going to write that condition. So we're going to count all as the downgrade underscore count, and then you're going to do this from the downgrades table, and then for our condition is going to be the pro monthly date is not null, so we'll remove all of them where the customers did not upgrade to the pro monthly date. And then we're going to write an AND statement, and the basic monthly date as well should not be null. So the customers that we want should have both a start date for the pro monthly and the basic monthly. So a customer like customer 46, customer 46, customer 69, we want to remain with such customers. And then for our final query, we want to check that the pro monthly happened before the basic monthly. So we write where the basic monthly date is greater than the pro monthly date because we are looking at a downgrade. So with this, you can collapse this as well, select and run. So there are no customers who downgraded from a pro monthly to a basic monthly. Yeah, so that marks the end of this section. We've covered section A and section B, and I'll do a separate video for section C because I feel this video has been a bit too long. And yeah, I don't want to lose you guys because section C is the Foodie-Fi team wants you to create a new payments table for the year 2020 that includes amounts paid by each customer in the subscriptions table with the following requirements. So the monthly payments always occur on the same day of the month as the original start date of any monthly paid plan. Upgrades from basic to monthly or pro plans are reduced by the current paid amount in that month and they start immediately, and then upgrades from pro monthly to pro annual are paid at the end of the current billing period and also start at the end of the month period. Once a customer churns, they no longer make payment. So they want us to create that table and then also write a query that will output it in this kind of way. Yeah, so I feel like it feels a bit more complex, so I won't include it in this video. I'll do a separate video that I will upload after this one, so it will be maybe just 2 or 3 days after this video is uploaded, so you'll be able to check that out. And then section D is where I will do it on my YouTube membership channel. So if you've not yet joined, you can join that. It's for only $1.49 per month. Yeah, so that will only be available for my YouTube channel members. So it says the following are open-ended questions which might be asked during a technical interview for this case study. It says there are no right or wrong answers, but answers that make sense from both a technical and business perspective make an amazing impression. So when answering these questions, you have to consider both the technical and the business side. So questions like how will you calculate the rate of growth for Foodie-Fi? What key metrics will you recommend Foodie-Fi management to track over time to assess performance of their overall business? So these 5 questions, I'll answer them in a separate video, but that will only be available to my channel members. So if you'd love to see how I went about answering these questions, then make sure you join my channel membership. And thank you guys for always watching my videos. Yeah, all the best guys. So if you have any questions regarding how I've gone about any of these queries, you can always send me a DM on Instagram and I'll answer you as soon as I'm able to. Or you can also leave a comment in the comment section below